Welcome to the Audio Inc. Radio podcast, featuring interviews with the biggest names in rock and metal. Hosted by Anne Erickson.
Got Inc.? Head to audioinkradio.com and find exclusive artist interviews, Q&As, photos, contests, music news, and more. Whew, that's a lot of ink. It's audioinkradio.com.
What's up? It's Anne Erickson. As always, it's awesome to have you here on the podcast. And don't forget to hook up online. Twitter and Snapchat at Anne Erickson, Instagram at Erickson Ann. You can find me on Facebook at itsmeann.com. Finally, if you are rocking the podcast for the first time, please subscribe wherever you rock out to podcasts. You know Michael Sweet from Stryper. He's got a new solo album out called 10, which totally rocks. Really pumped to talk with Michael on the show, so let's do it.
Hey everybody, this is Michael Sweet with Stryper, and you're listening to Audio Inc. Radio with Anne Erickson.
Hey Michael, what's up?
Hey Anne, how are you?
I'm great, how are you?
I am well.
Awesome, and thank you so much for making the time to do this.
Of course, no problem at all. I'm sitting back here on my screened-in porch with the sun shining. It's beautiful, so it's awesome.
Well, congrats on your new record, 10. I love how the record has a really in-your-face, kind of heavy metal, old-school vibe. So what was the initial vision for 10?
Well, I've been in a heavy mode over the past few years. I don't really have an explanation for why, but I just am. I'm enjoying the heavier side of Michael Sweet, and I figured that I'll just continue to run with that and keep putting out stuff that's in that mode. Stryper, the next album will be heavy as well. Now the next solo album, I don't know. You know, that might take a complete turn. You know, a 180, do a 180 there and do something completely different. I really don't know, but I'm liking. It feels right to chug and to write songs that are in the heavy realm more so than it does to not do so.
You have such a wide range of guests on the new album, which is really cool. How did you go about picking those players to appear?
Well, I knew I wanted Todd on a song, Todd LaTorre of Queensryche. I've always wanted to do something with him, and I kind of, once I wrote Son of Man, I knew that was the song. In terms of all the guitar players, as I wrote each song, from song to song, it became clear to me which song would be perfect for which player. You know, like Lay It Down, I knew as I was writing it, I was thinking about Marzi Montazeri, and I knew, gosh, he'd be perfect on this song. Son of Man, I knew Andy James, he'd be perfect on this song. I could almost hear them playing their parts to those songs. So it really wasn't difficult figuring out who was going to play what for what song.
I love that Gus G is on there because I was a big fan of his, you know, with Firewind and then in Ozzy, and now with Zach back. It's cool to see him doing some other things outside of the Ozzy world. So tell me about your relationship with Gus G and how you got him to be on the record.
Well, you know, I'm a big Gus G fan. I love how Gus, he has a very beautiful sense of melody and an incredible feel with his vibrato and the way he chooses his notes. He's a shredder. I mean, he'll just play blazingly fast, and then he'll slow down and play some slow, really beautiful stuff. So he combines the two. That's what I love about him. I saw him perform in Anaheim, excuse me, and I was even more blown away by his musicianship and his talents. I wound up going backstage and meeting him and exchanging information and reaching out to him and trying to work something out where we work together on something. I'd love to do an album with him down the road. I think it'd be killer. But I knew that I wanted him on this album, and I knew that Now or Never was the right song for him because in certain sections it has a little bit of an Ozzy metal ballad feel to it. And, there's a lot of parts where Gus could play, and I knew he was the perfect choice for that song. And sure enough, he was. You know, I sent him the tracks. He sent me back his tracks and blew my mind.
Do you have a favorite song on the album?
Oh, God, it's always hard to pick one favorite. It's
Yeah.
much easier to pick two or three favorites. I mean, I have a number of favorites. I love Better Part of Me. I love Shine. I love Son of Man. I love the ballad, Let It Be Love. I mean, that's one of my personal favorite ballads that I've ever written. And why is the simplicity of it and the message. I think the message is so relevant to the times we live in right now. And it's such an important song, and I hope it gets heard.
Well, you, of course, are also known for fronting Stryper. I feel like when you guys were first coming out, being a heavy metal Christian band was really kind of a novelty. Nowadays, do you feel like it's more, quote unquote, acceptable for a Christian metal band to kind of break through?
Well, I mean, I've been known to have an opinion on this subject matter, and that is the fact that I've never viewed us as a Christian metal band. I'm a Christian. We are Christians. We sing about Christ, but we're a rock band. We're a rock band and a metal band. And you know, I don't like the labels that people have given to us and placed upon us. Every bit as much as I'm sure Slayer wouldn't like to be labeled a satanic band, you know, and I don't know of anybody that refers to Slayer as a satanic metal band. They kind of are. I mean, they sing about the devil, right? And, you know, that's their subject matter, and pentagrams everywhere, and it's very satanic.
Someone told me once their singer was Catholic because I'm Christian and I like Slayer, and they're like, "Don't worry, Tom is Catholic."
No, exactly. No, and I get it. That's my point. I mean, they're a metal band.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a satanic metal band. They're a metal band. We're a metal band. You know, I always thought the labels were very odd, and that was when I was 21 years old. I thought that when I started seeing Christian metal band, I started thinking we're a rock band. We sing about Christ, but we're a rock band. You know, I think many times it limits what we're trying to do. And some of our fans get up in arms when they hear me say things like that. And I'm not at all, you know, ashamed of Christianity or who I am or what I am at all. And if I haven't proven that, I never will. You know, I think we've proven that singing songs like More Than a Man and, you know, Makes Me Want to Sing and Son of Man and, you know, all these songs that are so boldly proclaiming Christ. But the reason why I don't like it is I feel it's limiting. You know, when you go, and this has happened often, quite a few times, when I go to a record store, back in the days I'd go to a record store and our album, say, was coming out the same day as a Megadeth album. You walk in, you see Megadeth in the front of the store, a big, huge display, and then you go down the aisle to the rock section or the metal section, there's a new Megadeth album. Then I go to the front register, and I say, hey, where's the new Stryper album? And they say, oh, see that back corner back there? If you go and you look and you dig really deep, you're going to see a Christian category. It's in there. That's why I hate labels like that.
That's a great point.
It puts us in a box and it limits what we're trying to do. And some people say, well, own it. You know, it's been that way for 35 years, so just accept it. Well, you know, I don't necessarily agree with that. I'm going to keep proclaiming that we're a metal band that is comprised of Christians.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Well, being in the music industry, how do you keep your faith throughout the years? I think personally it's really cool that you're good friends with a lot of atheists and, you know, kind of like what you're saying, you guys are known as just a great metal band and musicians that everyone gets along with.
Well, I mean, the thing is, if you're going to claim to be a Christian, then you better learn about love and God's love, agape love, unconditional love, uncompromising love, you know, and know that with that comes acceptance of everybody, you know, not necessarily tolerance. You don't have to agree with everybody, but you need to love everybody. And, you know, we do. When we go out, we tour with any band, and we hang out with them. We go get Ubers and go to dinner together and break bread together, and we're sitting there having conversations with these guys, and one might be an atheist, and one might be a Satanist, and we're hanging out, and that puts people in arms sometimes. Certain Stryper fans are like, "What? How could you?" You know, and to me, that's our calling, is to go out and love everybody and be a light in the dark, you know, and always be a light, always show God's love, and eventually, and that's what speaks volumes. It's not what you say, it's what you do. Let your life be, you know, be the light. We try hard to do that.
Yeah, and that's what Jesus did. So I think you guys, you know, follow his example, which is perfect.
We really try hard. We try hard Do we fail? Yeah, sometimes we do. Sometimes I say something that might not sit right with people, or I do something or post something, and that's just a given. That's life. But I really do try to live a life that exemplifies Christ and who I am and what I say that I am. And I try hard not to be, a hypocrite.
So what are your thoughts on the state of heavy metal? Do you think that metal music is alive and well today?
I do. I think it's fighting for its life as well. Sadly, I think metal is looked down upon by the majority of the world as music lovers and people that love music. I think when they hear metal, it's almost more like a circus people mentality. Like, oh yeah, oh no, stay away from them, that kind of thing, from the higher ups. But I think there's a very strong metal community and metal base out there that will never let it die. And they're diehards. They come to every show, they support every band, they love metal. But it is sad to see often metal music not get the recognition it deserves or the respect because quite frankly, I think usually the best musicians are in metal music, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. Well, the instrumentals are so difficult in metal music.
Yeah, most metal guitar players will play any other genre guitar player under the table. Not all, but most. And that goes for drummers, that goes for bass players, that goes for singers. I mean, there's some incredibly talented musicians out there in the metal community, in metal bands, that are amazing. And it's really sad because, it doesn't get the recognition it deserves from the industry. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me and supporting what I'm doing. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
And I'm excited. I'm excited about this album, 10. I can't wait for everybody to hear it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Hey, you're very welcome. God bless you, and thanks for the time, okay?
Thank you. You too.
Okay, bye, Ann.
It's the cutting edge of new music and the forefront of rock. It's Audio Inc. with Anne.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Audio Inc. Radio podcast. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. Get inked online at audioinkradio.com. I'm Anne Erickson for the Audio Inc. Radio podcast.